This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour 2 of VSiN PrimeTime. Got baseball on. We got NBA on. We got the crown. College basketball's crown. Matt, 2 games in the books. 2 overs have hit. A favorite, shocker, in college basketball came home. Boise State, an easy winner. And coming up in a little bit, it'll be Nebraska and Arizona State. Matt's got a play on it. We'll revisit that play coming up in just a little bit. But it's always great, Matt, to check in with our good friend Johnny Avello. Runs things over at the DraftKings Sportsbook, and he joins us right now courtesy of our progressive guest line. Johnny, I was making a couple calls today. I think Matt was doing the same to our friends across the Las Vegas landscape, and some of their bosses were none too pleased by the amount of favorites that came on home. How did the books fare for you guys this weekend with favorites going 12-0 straight up?
You know, it's not one of our best NCAA tournaments, that's for sure. They call it March Madness for a reason. There's usually some unpredictability going on in this tournament, but it just hasn't worked that way. I guess it's one of those things that happens every 20 years or so or whatever. So, hey, look, not a good tournament overall. Still got 3 games to go, but chalk prevailed. And the one upset I would say, and it didn't even help us that much, was the Arkansas-St. John's game. It did knock St. John's out of the tournament, so that helped us a little bit in the future book in case they had any inclination of getting there and winning it. But we're, overall just the tournament's been good. The basketball's been good, but it's just didn't live up to the March Madness expectations of some upsets. And it's the way it goes. And going in, guys, I saw the 4 top seeds. We had them much lower odds than the next 4 seeds, and so that just showed me that these teams were just head and shoulders above everybody else. And so to get there is tough, but the path for all of them wasn't that difficult. Florida, a couple games they could have lost, but I think everybody else pretty much got there with not much of a problem at all.
Yeah, Florida had a couple scares. Auburn had maybe one from Michigan. Houston had one from Purdue. Duke did not have a scare on the way to the Final Four. This also from Evan Abrams on Twitter. Favorites of 6 points or more are 32-2 straight up in the NCAA tournament. That's crazy if you think about it. And if you go back to the conference tournaments in the 5 power leagues, ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and Big East, 6-point favorites or more, 30-1 straight up. That's 62-3 straight up. If you combine the big favorites in the 6 biggest tournaments, that's unheard of to not have more upsets than that. Again, 62-3 straight up going all the way back. Johnny Avello of DraftKings with us. Johnny, you're sportsbook director in Vegas for many years. So after a weekend like this where some books got hit pretty hard with the favorites coming in, I know some bookmakers, book directors getting called up to the executive offices trying to, explain to us how you lost on this tournament. Why did we not win more? How do you handle that as a sportsbook director when you're trying to explain to the casino execs why you lost on a big event?
I was fortunate, guys, not to be able to catch that heat. I mean, the guys really relied on me enough. I always kept them informed. But my answer to all the bosses upstairs that don't know this game well enough is, look, guys, it happens. The guys in the book didn't do anything wrong. And the players are flush now. They got a lot of money. They'll be around. They'll be around for, if it's not baseball, it'll be football next year. So it happens. It's no one's fault. There's nobody made any adjustments to have the house lose. It's just one of those times. And, it's not only basketball, guys. It's, pro football was difficult, too, towards the end of the year. We had a lot of chalk there, too. So we go through these periods, and I've been through some of these periods before where I've questioned myself. I've said, is my lines any good? What am I doing wrong? I have questioned myself in the past, but I've learned it's not me. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the customers happy. Keep them coming back in, and let the guys downstairs continue to do their job.
Yeah, you could have pumped those Duke lines up 2 or 3 points in each game, and it would not have mattered. Duke was still going to be covering those numbers. And so sometimes the favorites just come in. And
look at UConn, Matt. The last 2 years, 12-0 straight up and 12-0 ATS in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, Johnny Avello of DraftKings. Right now, Tim and I are watching and betting on the College Basketball Crown 16-team tournament here in Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden. And across the country, we're getting feedback from all sorts of states here. Tim, what is it? Indiana, Ohio, North Carolina, Arizona, Colorado.
Yep.
All over the place where these
Illinois.
These games are not up on the board. Every Vegas book has them up, and we're betting these. Why are the College Basketball Crown games not up across the country? Do you know?
Well, what I could tell you is that we did have them up, and then we were told to take them down. And the reason we were told to take them down is that the jurisdictions, I guess, didn't see this as one of the items we had on the menu for them to bet. And so, no, it's college basketball. It just wasn't something that was already approved. So then we took it down, and I don't know what the current status is of it right now. I will check into it a little bit deeper to see, where it's going to be offered and if it's going to be offered and what jurisdictions that is. But that's what the case was with us. We just had to take it down because, we did not have the approval from a few jurisdictions.
I guess that's in multiple states. And Tim, this is a confusing situation for a lot of bettors. Didn't you say one person we heard from put a bet in at DraftKings this morning and then had the bet voided?
I believe so, yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So you had that situation happen, right, Johnny?
That's what we were told to do. Yeah, we were told by DraftKings was told by a jurisdiction to void all the bets that we already had taken. So that's why that happened.
He's Johnny Avello joining us courtesy of our Progressive guest line. Johnny, looking at Final Four action already, and as you mentioned, Duke has seemed like a runaway freight train. Even though they didn't cover against Arizona, Houston didn't cover against Purdue. Both took care of business from a covering standpoint in the Elite Eight. What has been the early action on Duke in Houston? Has it just been a flush of Duke money so far?
It's been mostly Duke money. The opening line was 4.5, then 5, then 5.5, and still at 5.5. That's more of a two-way number, but still heavy on Duke. I don't think that's going to stop, guys. The Duke side's going to get bet on the spread. The Duke side's going to get bet on the money line, and it's going to be coupled with, I can't tell you who on the other side. Is it going to be Florida? Is it Auburn? I mean, could be a combination of both. But since Florida's the 2.5-point favorite, that game really hasn't been one-sided play so far. We're seeing, although we're a little heavy on Florida, we're seeing a little bit more balance there. But I would anticipate that a Duke-Florida money line parlay will probably be where most of those money line parlays are.
Do you have a lot of liability on Duke in the futures book, or how about can you tell us where you stand on each of the four teams in the Final Four?
Auburn and Houston were in really good shape with both of them. Florida was a loser, but they're no longer a loser for us, because we've taken in so much money on different teams during the tournament. And Duke, who has been a loser for quite some time throughout the year, and that also continued through the tournament, is still a loser for us. So Duke's pretty substantial loser. Nothing we can't live with. And the other three teams are, Florida's just okay. Call it a break even. The other two are really good.
Johnny, with baseball starting underway, I know you've got a big presence in New Jersey, in New York as well. I'm just curious, the Saturday performance from the New York Yankees hitting 9 home runs, and Aaron Judge, how many homers did he hit? Did he hit 3? He
had 4 on the weekend, but 3 in that one game, yeah.
When you see a performance like that, and the Yankees being such a public team, was that a pretty rough result for the house?
No, it really wasn't, because remember, that was the first game where we saw a bunch of runs, 20 runs.
True.
But then the next day they did bet the over, and that also got there. And just to show you guys that we just believe that that's an aberration so far. We'll see if we really do have to adjust with the Yankees using these bats. The total for this next game against Arizona is only 8.5. Actually, it's 8.5 under, and that's what we opened it. So we haven't made any real big, huge moves on the total on the Yankees, just because, people think that the Yankees are using something special that's going to score a lot of runs this year. It's too small of a sample size for us to make any major adjustments.
How about this theory? And I want to bounce this off you, see what you think of it. Chris Massaro, who's a pro bettor, been on several VSiN shows. He said his plan is to bet the Dodgers on the runs line a -1.5 in every game this season. How do you think that plan would work out for him after 162 games?
I think that plan will probably be a loser. That's my feeling on it. The Dodgers are going to lose some games. They're going to win some games by 1 run. And so I don't like that strategy at all. Sometimes a lot of times he'll get even money, even a small plus. Sometimes he'll even be laying juice, laying the 1.5. So, yeah, I don't like the plan.
The way things are starting out right now in baseball, Johnny, as a bookmaker, do you think you guys will be rooting against the Dodgers and Yankees almost every night?
Yeah, they're usually popular teams. Dodgers got a good start. Dodgers got a big lineup, good pitching. So, of course, if they're going to, go on this major run at the beginning of the season, that's going to be a play. The Yankees, I don't care if they bet the Yankees because I think the Yankees are vulnerable. I really do.
Right.
I think they're going to win some and they're going to lose a lot.
I agree with that. Yep.
He's Johnny Avello. He's the Hall of Famer, Sportsbook Director for DraftKings Sportsbook. Johnny, always appreciate your insight.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good night.
Is Todd McShay already shifting betting markets? We'll discuss what he tweeted out just a moment ago.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime here on a Monday evening alongside Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray. Got NBA action, Major League Baseball action going on. Got the Crown about to tip off. We're going to revisit a best bet from Matt here in just a moment. You mentioned that Doug Kazarian is heavy on the Boston Celtics tonight. Right now, the Boston Celtics trailing the Memphis Grizzlies 48-38. They are a 3.5-point underdog in game are the Boston Celtics. Matt, it's worth noting that the Memphis Grizzlies have beaten one team with a winning record since February 3rd, and that was the Dallas Mavericks on March 7th when they were missing 8 players. And, of course, Taylor Jenkins was fired on Friday.
Yeah.
Surprising to some, but I'll say this. I do a radio show twice a week in Memphis, and the news comes out, and I'm kind of, I'm not entrenched in Memphis and what's going on down there. And the folks down in Memphis didn't come away that shocked by the decision to fire Taylor Jenkins.
He's been there for
Friday.
a while. What's the shelf life of the average NBA coach? Taylor Jenkins has been, 5.5 years, something like that, in Memphis. I was surprised by it because
The timing.
Yeah, I felt like he's got the Grizzlies on the right track, and he's a really solid coach. And from that perspective, I was surprised that Jenkins got fired. But at the same time, in the NBA, there's so many egos involved, and if the GM feels like he put together a roster that should be winning more, a lot of times the coach is going to take the fall. Sean Grandy, the play-by-play guy for the Celtics, tweeted this out last night. And this is about the Grizzlies. And if you're surprised that Taylor Jenkins got fired, look at this. It's similar to what you just mentioned. Grizzlies have not defeated a winning team since February 2nd. So the last 8 weeks, Memphis Grizzlies versus losing teams, 11-4. And that's a big part of it. You have to beat who you're supposed to beat, right? So 11-4. Grizzlies against winning teams, 0-10. That's 11-14 over that stretch, but 0-10 against winning teams. And that was a big part of Doug Kazarian's handicap there tonight, why he likes the Celtics over the Grizzlies. Celtics close 4-point favorites. Right now, the Grizzlies lead 44-35. That's midway through the second quarter.
All right, I'm going to I'm going to ride with our guy, Mr. Kazarian here. I'm going to take the Celtics plus 4.5 right now I can get, and I'm hoping that this can get in before we get back from commercial break as the odds shifted a little bit on me, and it shifted again. This is one of the maddening things about trying to bet live as I'm trying to get this bet in, and the odds keep shifting. People like Mr. Kazarian over there are probably shifting the market for me, so I'm debating whether or not to just go money line here or take the 3.5 in a game that's going to have plenty of variance. So,
yeah, I would say this number keeps bouncing back and forth. Celtics Grizzlies from 3.5 to 4.5.
Yeah,
if you could grab Celtics live, let's say plus 4.5 or 5, I think I'd take the points.
Yeah, I almost took 4.5, and then the market shifted on me, so that was unfortunate. I'm waiting online here. I'm being patient.
Can we get that game on TV?
We do. It's a commercial break right there, middle of the screen there. We are waiting for the Crown to come back on. Well, I'm slightly defeated here trying to get this in-game wager in. Let's bring this up here real quick. Todd McShay now works for The Ringer, and he is doing a podcast. And Todd McShay, I don't know what you think of him. I think he does a good job of evaluating players, and he's well connected. We know, Matt, that the NFL draft can be a great betting market as for bettors, right? It's an information-based type of.
I love betting the NFL draft.
No, I've got my teeth kicked in.
Had one bad year. I think we've been doing the NFL draft betting for 5 years. Had 4 winning years and 1 bad year. Hopefully it'll be a winning season. There's a lot of things I like coming up in this NFL draft as well. But anyway, Tim, I think 2020 was the first time NFL draft betting really took off, and that was because we didn't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah.
The entire sports world shut down except for UFC and golf. And we talked about the NFL draft, bet the NFL draft almost every day. I go back to probably 2019, the first time NFL draft betting was really popular in Vegas. But yeah, let's say 5 or 6 years now, the NFL draft, I think it increases in popularity, the betting part of it, each year.
I remember that draft, the COVID draft. God, I sat there on my couch as if it was a Saturday night Notre Dame game. I was so in on that draft. It was just, I've been waiting so long for anything.
I think on that draft, I had something like 32 prop bets. I'm serious.
We were so desperate to get anything going. But this is Todd McShay. Now, I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek. His podcast, it's worth noting, is partnered with FanDuel. So he has this bit where he's like, we're going to bury the books. Mm-hmm. So this is what he had to say. He said, we're going to bury FanDuel Sportsbook on the NFL draft props, in parentheses, stay tuned for a week out from first pick. And I mean bury. But for now, this, in parentheses, first wide receiver draft line for Matthew Golden caught my attention. I'm a Golden guy, not a secret. Based off of intel, not just my evaluation, it's better than 50-50 that Golden is wide receiver 1, so plus 200 is juicy. So the market did shift a little bit. Ted McMillan from Arizona is still the favorite at minus 270. This is FanDuel. And plus 185 is Matthew Golden.
Out of Texas,
Texas, had a phenomenal NFL combine. I can't remember. No, there are some really good people on the NFL draft. I think that we have some really good ones. Yourself, I've done a good job. Matt Brown, Gil's done a good job. I know Luke Swain, Vegas Refund on Twitter, has done a really good job over the years. Thor Nystrom's done good jobs. But as we know, it's about putting those tea leaves together. And this is an interesting tweet, but is it too early, right? We're a month out. Mm-hmm. And is the price worth taking now at plus 185, or do we kind of wait and see how things ultimately evolve here in the betting market? Taking long shots, long stabs on the number 1 pick or whatever it may be is certainly a fun way to go. But I'm curious, as we're just under a month away from the NFL draft, Matt, if this is the time to go in on someone who's around 2-1 to be the number 1 wide receiver selected. But interesting tweet, needless to say, from McShay, who, and that's worth noting too. There's a lot of draft analysts out there that have their own evaluations, put out their mock drafts on what I would do. Mm-hmm. Throw those away. what matters is the insight that you can get, the intel you can get, and, Peter Schrager and his connection with Sean McVay, right? There are certain reporters out there that have access to certain teams and tend to have a little bit more intel, but thought this was an interesting tweet from McShay, and we did see a little bit of movement in the betting market on Matthew Golden to be the top receiver selected.
I would not bet that at this point. I think, let's see, DraftKings Golden is plus 170. Tetaroya McMillan from Arizona minus 235. I think he should be the odds-on favorite. Based on my own evaluation of those two wide receivers and what I think would happen, Tim, I'd be surprised if McMillan's not the top wide receiver taken.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I would, but there's I
understand that McShay's got good sources. He's a very sharp evaluator, and you definitely have to put some stock in his opinion there. I think now might be a little bit too late to jump in on that, right?
Yeah,
if you had Golden, maybe a 3-1 or plus 250 might be worth a shot, but right now I'm not sure I'd do that. Looking at the draft, and I've started to work on some draft stuff here recently, I'd be really surprised if McMillan's not the first wide receiver taken.
Yeah, and there's a reason he's still odds-on favorite, but we'll see. This is the time. The visits are starting. This is the time you're going to start getting those little morsels of information.
You get some fake information,
yes,
too.
You do.
Fake news gets floated out there quite a bit. Michael Lombardi had some great news before the draft last year. Remember, he showed up on draft day and said that Bo Nix is going to be a first-round pick, bank on it, and he went number 12. He knew that Sean Payton loved him, and Sean Payton was going to take him in the first round, and Payton did that.
I was sitting here next to Michael, and he was smiling at me because I had a lot riding on Bo Nix not being a first-round pick, and I knew I was in a whole lot of trouble as that went on. But no doubt, it is an information-based time. We'll get into over the weeks, some of our best draft hits over the years, but the Bo Nix going first in the first round was not a good bet for me as that one played out there last year. Hey, just a reminder, folks, there's so many ways you can tune in to VSiN, and the VSiN Watch app might be the best. You can stream it right to your smart television. You can watch it on your phone. You can listen to us. You can check out show replays, clips on specific sports out there. You can get it. Download it, App Store, the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store is where you can check out the VSiN Watch app. Matt, before we get this game going, quick update on a best bet for you, Nebraska-Arizona, about to tip off.
Over the total of 154.5 is what I played here. Arizona State's going to be down to 7 or 8 players and missing some of its best players. I think the defensive end of the floor is going to be a big problem for the Sun Devils. Also had a Boise, like I said, Boise-Nebraska money line parlay. So I like the Huskers to win over the total of 154.5.
It is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN Primetime here on a Monday evening. Tell you what, me and Matt, pretty curious about this college basketball crown. I'm going to keep tabs on it. I'm going to see how it plays out. The overs, 2-0. Very, very small sample size. You like the over in Nebraska, Arizona. Mm-hmm. I played it as well. So we'll see if we can continue the over train here. Favorites, only 1-1 straight up. So unlike the NCAA tournament, we did see an upset earlier today as Utah got a little late steam, and they closed 3.5-point favorites. Butler gets the 86-84 win. Boise State, I believe the favorite to win the crown at most sports books. They win by 30 earlier today, 89-59. Nebraska, Arizona State up next, and then late night. You and I love some late night hoops. Georgetown and Washington State.
Yeah, I don't have any action on the late night game. I do have some here on Nebraska, Arizona State. Need a big game from Bryce Williams.
By the way,
shooting guard for the Cornhuskers, 20 points per game. This is going to tip off in about 4 minutes from MGM Grand Garden. Tim, a quick question for you. Did you get your live bet in on the Celtics?
I did. Huh? I did. I didn't get the 4.5, unfortunately, but I'm in at 3.5 on the Boston Celtics.
Tied at 57 now, 3 minutes ago.
All
NBA is so great for live betting because of the swings. It's so volatile. I think we talked about Celtics were down 10. Now it's tied.
Yep. It was 48-38 when I got the bet in. Now it's 57 all. Celtics and Grizzlies. And the stat that we continue to mention is they have not beat a team with a winning record since early February, that Memphis Grizzlies. So 57 all in that one as they are in their second game in the post-Taylor Jenkins era. So we've got Crown basketball going on, a little women's hoops going on. Boy, what could have been in the unfortunate situation with Juju Watkins tearing her ACL. Hate to see that. USC gets the win in the Sweet 16 over Kansas State, 67-61, Matt. But it would have been a massive monster showdown tonight between UConn and USC. Instead, UConn now a 14.5-point favorite at most shops over USC, as that game will tip off later on this evening as Paige Beckers off a 40-point performance. And then,
you know what's funny about this? I guess it's not funny, but it's funny how far off I was on this line. I thought, okay, with Juju Watkins out. I almost said Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Watkins out. I said, I think UConn's going to roll USC in this game. Hopefully, I can get on UConn somewhere, minus 7.5 or 8. I looked at the screen last night, 14.5. Odds maker certainly made the adjustment.
Yes.
And that's a big adjustment. By the way, USC is the number one seed. The number one seed is a 14.5-point underdog to the number 2 seed, which is UConn. In this game, and Juju Watkins being out is obviously the reason why. Total of 137. UConn, a 1,600 favorite on the money line, and would have been a totally different story if Juju Watkins was playing in that game. I really like to watch her play. It's a big disappointment to see any player like that go down with that type of injury. And already in the Final Four, we've got, UCLA and South Carolina, correct?
Yep. South Carolina winning yesterday in a low-scoring affair. Shouts to Tyler Shoemaker, does a really good job handicapping women's college basketball with his numbers. He came on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line and said he had been waiting for an opportunity to bet a Duke game under, and yesterday was the day, and the total was 128.5, final 54-50. USC gets the win, South Carolina, that is. So Texas, TCU winner. Right now, Texas leading 39-33 late in the third quarter. They get South Carolina. That game will take place on, I believe, Friday night, and then UCLA will get the winner of USC and UConn. Nebraska, Arizona State, Matt, about to get underway from the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Can we count on Matt Youmans taking in a live Crown game this week?
I don't know. Like I said, if they were playing on the weekend at MGM Garden, I'd be more likely to go because I love that basketball venue. Been out there many times for UNLV games or Pac-12 tournament games. I think this is perfect for the Crown tournament. If you haven't been out there, MGM Grand Garden is a great venue for college hoops. I do have a winner so far today in pocket, Boise -8. And Broncos win by 30, 89-59 over George Washington. And also...
By the way, that's another favorite of 6 or more.
There you go.
Let's include it in there. What was the stat? 32-2, I believe, was the number.
Yeah, I don't know how it's working out in the NIT or the other tournaments, but here in the Crown tournament today, you got one favorite of 6 or more. It's already a winner. And Tim Brando calling the games on FS1. Hoping to get him on the show with us here tomorrow night. Timmy B, always opinionated. He'll have some opinions on the Final Four as well. But yeah, moneyline parlay, Boise, Nebraska, and also got this game over the total 154.5. Throw this theory at you. You and I bounce it around a little bit. I don't think the coaches are going to micromanage the games like they do in the NCAA tournament, where you see the coach pacing the sideline, trying to control every play and every possession. Let these guys go out, showcase their talents, have a good time. I think that's more what this tournament is about. You want to take some of the restrictions off, just let your guys play. And I think these two coaches, Fred Hoiberg and Bobby Hurley, are like that too. They'll let this be an up-and-down racehorse type of game, and that's another reason I played over the total. Now the total has already been bet up about 5 points in the market. But 154.5, 155. Hopefully we get that type of game. I'd be really surprised if we don't. And you've got some guys who are capable of scoring on each side. Like I said, Bryce Williams, especially for Nebraska. And Arizona State, which is going to be shorthanded tonight, the Sun Devils down to 7 or 8 players. And they got a couple of their best players from the regular season who are out, including Jason Sanon And I would think that on the defensive end of the floor, Arizona State's going to have some problems tonight.
By the way, if you missed it, Johnny Avello was on the program just a little bit ago, and Michael chimes in on the email. And Justin, what's our email? Primetime@vsin.com. Is that right? Primetime@vsin.com. If you want to chime in via the email, go old school. But Michael asks the questions, do you have any idea why the Crown games are being taken down from books? What might be the story behind that? Johnny gave us the answer. It's not regulated, and they were the bat signal came in and said, gotta take them off of the board. So there were voided bets earlier today across the country. Here in Vegas, you can bet it. I don't know why Vegas or state of Nevada is good to go, but we've had tweets coming in all day long regarding the states that do not allow you to bet the college basketball crown. So
Johnny Avello just followed up on a text too. He said, these games are not going to be offered by DraftKings in New Jersey, Ohio, and Illinois. DK is waiting for approval before putting it up in a few other states' jurisdictions. So it was approved for play here in Nevada, but not in these other states. And that's why if you're watching, listening to us, and somewhere outside of Nevada, you probably can't bet these games.
Yeah, so we're underway in the third game of the college basketball crown, taking place just down the road from where we sit on the Strip at the MGM. Is it Grand Garden or Garden? It's
MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Grand Garden Arena. I always mess that up. All right, so we got that game going on. By the way, at the half, and the Boston Celtics have taking the lead. They are now a 5.5-point in-game favorite. 66-61 the score, minus 280 on the money line. I probably should have got greedy. Probably should have taken some money line, but instead I took 3.5. So that's where I sit right now on the Celtics against the Grizzlies. Other games going on right now. The Heat up on the lonely Washington Wizards. This would be a delightful result for me and Jonathan Von Tobel, who have the under-season win total for the Wizards. 78-61 the score there. Kings up on the Pacers, 82-76. Clippers and Magic, 62-58. Hornets, 80-78 lead over the Jazz. They're a 3.5-point in-game favorite. And then the Chicago Bulls are on the road tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, Matt. And right now the Thunder out to a strong start. They lead 29-18, a 17.5-point favorite in game. Still to come tonight, Matt, we do have the Rockets and the Lakers, as the Lakers a 3.5-point favorite against the Houston Rockets. How about the finish we saw on Friday night? One of the craziest finishes I've seen with the Lakers and Bulls, as Josh Giddey hits a half-court shot to win the game at the buzzer. Down 5 with like 15 seconds to go. The Bulls erase that lead. Austin Reeves gets a bucket, and then it is quickly turned out around the other way. By the way, like what we're seeing here from a pace standpoint here, already 10 points in the first 2 minutes.
Arizona State hits a couple threes. Sun Devils up 8-2. I wanted to mention this, Tim, because the Boston Red Sox today went off as minus 140 favorites, beat the Orioles 8-5, but that's not the most important point of this game I wanted to make. Have you noticed what's happening with Rafael Devers?
It has not been a strong start to the season for Mr. Devers.
Devers started the season 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts for the Red Sox. And I saw this on Twitter during the commercial break. This is hilarious. In 1995, Tony Gwynn had 15 strikeouts and 585 at-bats. Rafael Devers has 15 strikeouts and 19 at-bats. What the hell is going on with Rafael Devers? 15? Is he trying to strike out? Is he unhappy with his role, trying to strike out?
I'm just looking it up right now. That's insane.
585 at-bats.
The whole season, he had 15 strikeouts. Hey, just a reminder, folks, check out what we have to offer over at VSiN.com. Exclusive betting splits, daily best bets, expert analysis on all sports. You can check it out for as little as $9.99. That's our intro offer, VSiN.com/subscribe.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime alongside Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray. Final Four just around the corner down in San Antonio. It'll be Houston taking on Duke first. It'll be Florida and Auburn. We got the Crown going on right now. We got NBA action, MLB action. I'm going to give you an update on the Reds and Rangers in just a moment. But, Matt, a quick correction on the previous stat. You are so blown away by the Tony Gwynn versus Rafael Devers comparison that you made a minor mistake.
Well, I flipped the score. Red Sox lost again. They've lost 4 in a row. They're now 1-4, and I mentioned Baltimore. It was a 140 favorite and beat Boston 8-5. That's what I meant to say. So Rafael Devers, 15 strikeouts and 19 at bats, and Tony Gwynn in 1985 when he struck out 15 times.
1995. He struck out 15 times in 577 plate appearances, 535 at bats.
What did he bat that year?
368.
Okay.
In 1994, the strike-shortened season, he had 394.
Tony Gwynn.
He's a pretty decent hitter.
Joe DiMaggio, two of the toughest guys in baseball history to ever strike out. And Rafael Devers, obviously not in that category. I do like the pace here in this Nebraska-Arizona State game. I don't like the fact that Nebraska just missed a wide-open layup. But 10-9, Sun Devils lead the Cornhuskers. These teams are running up and down. We are 5 minutes into the game.
Live total is down to 155.5 at BetMGM.
Right where we started, basically.
Yep. Did get another tweet, and they keep coming in, and I don't know if I give you the answer, but I'll read it out loud. I'm confused how this Crown event is a state approval issue. Since out here in Colorado, this courtesy of Nash, I can bet the Crown via Circa, 365 Bet Rivers, but can't on the main books like FanDuel, DraftKings, and MGM.
Maybe those books did not submit it for approval with the state. I don't know. Johnny was be honest, Johnny Avello, and we talked to him off the air before the segment. He was a little bit confused about what was going on in all these states with the college basketball Crown, and he was going to look into it more. Obviously, different issues with different states, and he said the states that DraftKings were not going to be putting these games up in for certain. Johnny said we're going to be New Jersey, Ohio, and Illinois. They're trying to get approval in the other states. But we did get another text from someone in Colorado who said he could not bet the games, right?
Yeah, on some of the main books. Mark chimed in and says, no Crown in New Jersey, but why should I be shocked? I couldn't even bet the East Regionals. Yeah, that was
in Newark.
That was ridiculous.
That was a dumb rule. So the games are being played in Newark, so the games were off the board in New Jersey. Come on.
So dumb. Yeah. Absolutely dumb. And probably good, though, for our friend Thomas Gable there, as both favorites took care of business in that one, and Duke won easily on Saturday night. All right, quick baseball update. 2 touchdowns put on the board for the Cincinnati Reds. They lead 14-0. How about Elly De La Cruz tonight? His 4th career multi-home run game, misses out on hitting the cycle by hitting a 7th-inning homer 15 to 20 feet over the center field fence instead of a triple. Wow. Career-high 7 RBI, singled, stole a base, homered twice, doubled, scored 4 times. That courtesy of Gordon Whitmire there covering the game. 14-0 Reds up on the Texas Rangers right now as Elly De La Cruz, man, that dude is something special from a skill standpoint there.
He is. Reminds me a lot of Eric Davis from the late 80s, early 90s with the Cincinnati Reds, that 1990 World Series team. Elly De La Cruz, probably even more of an athlete, more of a specimen, obviously, and he'd bring that batting average up. He'd be a 5-tool type of player, but obviously pretty fun to watch. Tim, I've been really zeroed in on this Nebraska-Arizona State game. I never really thought when the calendar turned to 2025 that on this specific day I was going to be focused on Nebraska and Arizona State playing a college basketball game.
March 31st,
that's what we got.
2025, Matt. A day that'll go down in history as you were fixated on what's happening at the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
These teams are going up and down the floor.
Make some damn buckets, though.
But
Come on.
Not shooting at a high percentage. Had a couple of offensive fouls on Nebraska here. 14-12 games stalled out a little bit. But you got to love the pace if you're watching it, because getting shots up is not going to be a problem. Getting shots in might be the problem, trying to get this over the total.
Dan Keister chimes in. He is in the state of Kansas as of right now. In the state of Kansas, you cannot Bet the Crown on FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, or bet at ESPN. However, lines are up at Caesars. Fascinating. It really is. Very interesting to see how this is all played out here with this unique tournament as it continues here in Las Vegas. It doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, they're not doing anything wacky. It's still a basketball game. I mean, hell, if you're allowed to bet bowl games, you should be able to bet the Crown.
It doesn't make much sense. I think that's why there's so much confusion over why the hell would these games not be offered by all these books. And we're trying to get the answer clarified as best we could. You would think with college basketball programs like this playing in Vegas, there'd be no issue with these being up at all the books all across the country, but apparently some states did not pre-approve it, and that's why some books don't have it up. That's the best answer we got right now.
So still to come tonight, Matt, and this game will get underway in the 7 o'clock Eastern hour. It was not a stellar opening weekend for the Atlanta Braves, and they are in Los Angeles taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers heading into tonight a strong 5-0 to start the year. They'll have Tyler Glasnow on the hill. And when you look at what the Dodgers have done, what did you say that our friend Chris Massaro wants to do?
Chris's plan. He's sort of a madman.
He is a little bit. Yeah,
right?
A little bit.
Especially an angry
but
tweeter.
Very calm when it comes to, I mean, he makes me look like, I don't know, who's someone really calm? The Dalai Lama? Chris Massaro makes me look calm with his tweets.
Ben Wilson?
We love you, Chris.
Ben Wilson's a calm guy.
Ben is a calm guy.
Outstanding broadcaster, a calm guy. Calming influence. So Chris Massaro gets, JVT likes to say, spitting mad Massaro when he tweets, sends out some of the angry tweets. His plan, it's an interesting plan. One of the problems I've already pointed out to him is he forgot to do it in the first 2 games of the year. And when the Dodgers played in Tokyo.
Yep.
And the Dodgers obviously beat the Cubs in both those games.
4-1 and 6-3.
And would have covered the run line in both. Yep. So his plan is to play the Dodgers minus 1.5 on the runs line in every game this season. Well, you missed 2 wins over the Cubs in Tokyo. So you missed 2 wins right off the bat when you played this. He didn't do it for the first 2 Tokyo games. But he plans to stick with this all season.
All right.
I don't know if he's going to. How long do you think? What are the chances are you think he sticks with it the entire season over 160 games? Because he missed the first 2. Will he stick with this over 160 games?
No, I'll lay the no price on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think by the middle of the summer his enthusiasm wanes and he's like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Huh?
Actually, I hope you do it, Chris. If you're tuned in right now, we love you, Chris. For my entertainment purposes, I am not a day-to-day baseball bettor. I make a couple. I usually make like one futures play. That's the Reds this year, so we're gonna have the Reds on a lot, over 78.5 wins. But for my personal enjoyment, to see Massaro sweat this out every night, especially a lot of late-night games for us here in Las Vegas. I hope you do it, Chris. Do it every game, baby. Start tonight, minus 108 on the run line at DraftKings.
He started last week.
Okay.
He started with the Angels, or he started with the Tigers series, right?
So he went 2-1.
So he's 2-1. They won 5-4, 8-5, and 7-3. So 2-1 so far. And again, if you're laying 1.5, Tim, you're not going to have to lay these giant prices. Obviously,
sometimes you will.
Sometimes, but you're not laying $4 every night.
Yeah.
So when you're laying $1 or 1.5, cheaper prices. And that makes it more tolerable to take a few of the losses. And Dodgers minus 1.5, all 160 games. I'm going to think at some point this summer he's going to lose enthusiasm and probably give it up. But Johnny Avello said he predicts it's going to be a losing strategy. We'll see. I hope this will be a great case study. I'd like to see him stick with it through the entire season and see what you're up, plus or minus, up or down, at the end of the season, because this Dodgers team, let's face it, Tim, on paper, I'd say the most dominant baseball team we've seen in the last 20 years or so.
Pretty darn
on
good.
Paper.
Yeah, not too shabby. Off to a 5-0 start, over under 161.5 wins. All right. Hey, just a reminder, folks, Edge Boost, maybe this is a product that our friend Chris Massaro could use. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today. Head on over to edgeboost.bet. Use this promo code PRIME. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. Once again, edgeboost.bet. Got the Crown going on just down the road. NBA action, Boston and Memphis. A little in-game play for me on the Boston Celtics. And, of course, 5 days from now, the Final Four, as we got all 4 1 seeds. We'll continue to dive in to the Final Four. We'll do that next right here on VSiN Primetime.